Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking and Barry back again. Barry, I still see you're wearing Whitebeard's mighty stash from the other video we did the other day. Oh wait, no! Wait a second, no! Away with you! Imperio Expelliarmus Avada Kedavra the mustache! Holy crap. Remember last time we let Barry wear Whitebeard's mustache? Yeah, it starts small with that. Then he gets Brooks' afro. Then he gets Buggy's nose. And then he becomes a demigod trying to take over the world, right? I had to fight him. So the wings are kind of already stretching it. But anyway, yeah, glad we avoided that. I'm hoping you guys are ready, though. I hope you guys are set. Because today is going to be another whimsical video. The One Piece Isekai Adventure, Part 3! That's right, Part 3. It took me a while. It's been a while since I've done these. I felt like I needed to come up with something brand new, like another reference table, right? And the last reference table I did for this was like a D100, so it was like, okay, what else could I possibly add to this? I'll go away for a little while. By the time we get to One Piece Isekai Part, like, 20, it's just going to be reference tables. You're just going to have to roll on, like, 80 reference tables one after another, and that's going to be most of the Isekai adventure before it's going to decide how the Isekai adventure is going to start and go and then finish before you even actually get to roleplay it yourself. Reference tables are king, okay? But we have two new ones today, and also I just hope to streamline everything really quick. The most effective way I know how, of course, with a reference table. That's right, we're going to be using a reference table to recap the things from the previous videos featuring reference tables, okay? So, even if you haven't seen Isekai number 1 and 2, that's fine. I'm hoping to bring you up to speed here, okay? So, basically how this is going to go is that you are going to get sucked into the One Piece world through the machinations of a being that we have called the Isekai Fairy. More on that being in a second. But you're going to get sucked into the One Piece world, and you're going to roll a series of dice to discover, you know, where you're going to end up. What objects are you going to have? And there's some new reference tables on some other stuff as well. One you have to roll on, another one is optional. You don't have to roll on this one table because it has some good stuff and some bad stuff, but you can if you want. So, yeah, let's just start really quick with the Isekai Fairy, just a recap on this divine power, okay? The Isekai Fairy shows up wherever you're at and is taking you into the One Piece world. You really don't have a choice here. The Isekai Fairy is going to open up a dimensional rift and just toss you into the One Piece world, okay? The Isekai Fairy, in case you're curious, resembles the most attractive person that you've ever met, like your type. The Isekai Fairy is 100% your type. So for me, Nico Robin, basically. You know, so Nico Robin shows up in my room and then, you know, tells me some stuff, gives me basically a tutorial, and then tosses me into the One Piece world. And then I have to roll these dice to figure out exactly what's going to happen, okay? So that's the setup for the Isekai Fairy. But when it comes to exactly what happens, what you get as, like, starting equipment, I have it all written down here. Okay, so first off, you get 2 sets of clothing plus whatever you happen to be wearing right now. So for me, it's actually unseasonably warm out right now. It's late October in the middle of the Pennsylvania, like Appalachian Mountains. It was like rainy and cold the last few days, and then today, it's like 75 degrees out. I'm wearing shorts, you know, and so I'm wearing my Slytherin shirt, so I get sent into the One Piece world wearing what I have, but the Isekai Fairy also lets me rummage around in my closet for a bit, and I get to pick 2 other sets of clothing. They can be what other kind of clothing you want. And also, I understand that in the One Piece world, you could end up somewhere that has very cold weather. You can end up on a winter island like Drum Kingdom or Karakuri Island, for example. And if you end up in those locations, what if you don't have winter clothing where you're at? What if you live somewhere warm so you never had a need for it? Do not worry, the Isekai Fairy has your back. You will receive a complimentary free set of warm winter clothing. However, unless you have them yourself and they count as your set of clothing, the clothing that the Isekai Fairy gives you are unbelievably unfashionable. Just ridiculous. Like, think of the worst possible fashion choices you could choose. Like, if you really hated plaid. If it's like, man, I would be caught dead wearing plaid. Well, guess what the winter clothing's gonna be? Nothing but the most eye-meltingly plaid shirts and jackets and I mean, they're warm. They're warm hats and mittens and everything, but everything is, like, horribly plaid. Alright, so that's the clothing you get, unless you decide that one of your clothing is winter clothing, okay? And if you don't have winter clothing, that's what you get. all right? So you could kind of bite the bullet on that one. You could basically be like, okay, I get to bring whatever clothing I'm wearing right now, which may or may not be practical. I mean, you could be wearing pajamas right now, right? So it's like, well, nice to have, but I don't know if that's really going to be useful if I get dumped somewhere in like war-torn country of One Piece, right? You know, okay, I get to bring 2 sets of clothing plus whatever I'm wearing, and if I take the hit and I just get the unfashionable winter clothing, you basically get to maximize it out there, how much clothing you can bring. So you got to make that choice. The next object you get a large backpacks, because some people were like, how do I carry around all the clothing, of course, and the stuff that I'm going to bring? You get a large, like, survival backpack like this. This is basically what you're going to get, and big thing to carry around. Okay. So that's how you carry around your objects. Next thing is, you get 1 object that you own. All right, 1 object that you own. Pets are also included here, and I didn't even think of this, but there was one person that commented, like, you get to bring 1 thing that you own, and it's like, yeah, I look down at my dog. I'm like, want to go on an adventure? And I'm like, yeah, and the dog's like, you're sure. So yeah, you can bring a pet if you want, or an object. Not both, but if you want to bring your dog, or your cat, or your pet Komodo dragon, or whatever the hell you happen to have, you can bring that with you, or 1 object that you own. The limitations to this are, you cannot bring something that, like, you can't bring, like, a chest that's filled with, like, survival supplies or whatever. You can bring the chest, but when you open it up, when you get into the One Piece world, it's gonna be empty. You arrive in perfect health. So don't worry if you have any sort of, like, if I think the example I used is if you're, like, diabetic or something, or if you have some disease that requires, like, medication, perfectly healed. If you only have 1 eye, you arrive in the One Piece world and it's like, okay, I have another eye. So you get reset at a perfect bill of health. And then last thing that you get, this is all the stuff you're given as soon as you arrive there, is a 1,000,000 berry. Okay, so I calculated that out. 1,000,000 berry, if it's like equivalent to like 1,000,000 yen, which is I think what Oda's going for here, that's roughly like 9,500 US dollars. You can do the exchange rates for whatever country you're living in on how that goes, but it's like 9,500 US dollars or 1,000,000 yen, 1,000,000 berries, okay? And that might seem like a lot of money, but keep in mind, like in order to buy a brand new ship, when the Straw Hats went to Water 7, they were estimating that to be around 300 million. And even a second-hand ship was like 100 million. Alright, so that kind of gives you an idea. And you could go on the One Piece Wiki and kind of look at the berry section. I'll even leave a link to it below. And you can kind of see, like, examples of how much things cost in the One Piece world based on the amount of money that you have, based on the amount of berries, okay? But 1,000,000 berries is around, like, $9,500, so you're not ending up, like, completely broke and you have nowhere to stay for the night. You could end up on an uninhabited island, though, so that might not help you in that regard. But, still, that's what you get at the offset, alright? So that's that. Now we're going to, I'm going to move this aside over here really quick, because now we got to make some rolls. We got to make some rolls to determine where we're going to end up, and of course I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do my example run here, and I'm going to showcase how to use all the reference tables, and I'm going to show off the new ones that we got, and then I'm going to dive right in here and see what happens this time around. I think the last time I did this, I ended up in the Germa double six, so that was a thing. Also, you're ending up in the One Piece world the same day that Luffy leaves Dawn Island. Alright, so you arrive in the One Piece world, you have all your One Piece knowledge about the series, whatever you happen to know about it, and you're arriving the same time Luffy is shoving off from Fuchsia Village and punches out the Lord of the Coast. That's when your adventure starts, the same time Luffy's does, okay? So you could run into the Straw Hats, you could also run into Mihawk, or Akainu, or one of the Yonko, or a Warlord if you're not careful. So keep that in mind. Some people were going that angle with it. Some people were like, man, I'm just gonna stay on this island until the Straw Hats show up, like they ended up in Alabasta. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I'm just gonna hide from Crocodile for a few months, and then the Straw Hats show up, and maybe I can join them, right? Because you'll know exactly where they'll be. Other people are like, you know what? I don't have any desire to join the Straw Hat crew. I'm gonna go be a Marine, or I'm gonna be a revolutionary, or I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm just gonna run my donut deli down the street. Maybe Katakuri will stop in one day. Could be. It's possible. But let's start off with the first reference table we have. Got a lot of windows to move around today. All right, let's start off with the first reference table. This reference table is simple. It's rolling a d6, and it's going to determine which part of the world you're going to end up in. So I used an actual, like, setup, like the dice, like last time, and a little dice tray to use. But this time, I think we're just going to go digital. So yeah, we just pull that up here. This is rolladie.net. I am using rolladie.net. I'll include a link in the description below if you would like to use rolladie.net. So we got to figure out where we're at. This is a D8, so we're going to need a D6 here. Okay, ready? All right, we're rolling a D6. 1 is North Blue, 2 South Blue, 3 East Blue, 4 West Blue, 5 Paradise, 6 New World, and you have eyes, so you could clearly see that, but whatever. Rolling the D6. We got a 2. So we're ending up in the South Blue this time, Barry. All right, we're in the South. Not a lot of stuff in the South, but that's what the next table is for. You know, and you might say, well, you know, the Grand Line's where everything's at, right, Tekking? I'm like, well, yes, but it depends on what your goal is, right? It depends on what you want out of this experience. If you don't want to be, you know, a pirate, then ending up in the Grand Line, that might be a detriment to you. You would probably just like, you know what? I'm just gonna end up in a tiny little island somewhere else in the world, please. I'm fine with that. All right, so this next reference table is broken into 4 different sections for the North, East, South, and West Blues. There's different die depending on each location. Of course, the East Blue has the most locations because that's the one that was fleshed out the most in the actual story. But the South Blue, you got a D6 for that, so we already have that queued up. So let's just roll the D6 again. Let's go for it. We got a 3 this time. All right, so we're in Centauria Island. Holy crap, what island was that? I think... It's been a while since I made that, and I'm the geography master, but I think Centauria Island, I believe that is a location that was referenced by the revolutionaries, or it was mentioned in the paper, I think. I'm not really sure. It's certainly not a relevant location in the One Piece world. You know, like the other locations in the South, like Karate Island, that's where Jerry studied karate. No, that's where Jerry learned how to box from Karate Island, so I don't know. And Torino Kingdom's where Chopper got sent, but I ended up in Century Island. Hold on, let me just go check the wiki really quick to make sure, because I'm not even 100% sure what's on that island. Okay, so I did just look it up, and Centaurea, which I believe is the correct pronunciation of that island, Centaurea Island was indeed an island that was liberated by the Revolutionary Army. It was mentioned the first time we properly got introduced to Dragon right after Enies Lobby during the post-Water 7 arc. We see Dragon walking around Baltigo, and their revolutionaries are talking about it offhand. They're talking about their victory in Centaurea. Okay, so that's a good thing. The Revolutionary Army did win, so they got liberated by them. The bad news is, by the time I arrive there, that probably means that we're in the middle of a massive war between whoever controlled Centaurea Island beforehand and the Revolutionary Army's southern branch. But I might get to meet Lindbergh. That's a possibility here. All right, so don't think just because, oh, this is an island that was never shown in the story, this is a random place that wasn't even, you know, visited by the Straw Hats, we don't know anything about it. No, we know a little bit about it. We know the Revolutionary Army got involved there and they won. It's just by the time that we would have, you know, if you get this island too, if you arrive there, it's probably going to be in the middle of war, in the final stages of a war, and then a few months later, the Revolutionary Armies will win, and Lindbergh is there probably, because, you know, if this is just some random island in the south, that probably also means the Centaurea Kingdom was a really messed up kingdom that probably really did oppress their civilians, you know, for the Revolutionary Army to get involved. But they did win. They did win, so either you land on this island and you just leave, that's a possibility, it depends what else we get here, or you stay and you tough it out and you fight alongside the revolutionaries, and your assistance might either help them or maybe not. But Lindbergh would probably be there, like helping out the units and stuff, and you get to see him flying around on a jetpack, so maybe you might be able to lend some help, and maybe you can make the revolutionaries' victory happen faster, so that would be cool. And then after that's all said and done, it would probably be a relatively peaceful island with the revolutionaries calling the shots. So yeah, that's not a great role. Not a great role. I would have preferred probably an island that has like infrastructure. That would have been nice. But this is kind of a war-torn place where I'm being sent, so this is great. But anyway, moving on to the next reference table here. This next reference table is the D100 of different objects that you might receive upon arriving in the One Piece world. So on top of all the stuff that you could bring with the sets of clothing and the backpack and your 1,000,000 berries and your one object slash dog or cat, whatever you happen to bring, you roll on this D100 and you also get an extra object. Now the things on this list range from very, very useful, like I put like firearms on here, so you could end up with like a shotgun in the One Piece world, some way to protect yourself, or very useless, like a comb or something. You know, yay, I got a comb! You know? So, yeah, we're gonna roll on the D100 now, Barry, and we're gonna end up in this war-torn country with the revolutionaries fighting the Centaurea Kingdom, whoever controlled that previously, and we're going to end up with, oh, please be something useful. All right, let's see. Roll 1D100. Here we go. 95. All right, so we got a bunch of different tables here to flip through, but 95 is a nail file. I think old Tekking might be not making it out of this one alive. I end up wearing my Slytherin t-shirt with a backpack, carrying, like, extra clothing and winter clothing and stuff. One object that I'm gonna bring. I guess I should talk about that. What object am I bringing? Yeah, no. I'm probably gonna bring the Japanese War Club. I'm probably gonna bring my Kanabo. Yeah, that'll work. Japanese, you know, there you go. And then I can, maybe if I end up meeting Kaido, you know, maybe I could be like, hey, I got this Kanabo. And Kaido's like, you use a Kanabo, I use a Kanabo. Be like, so he won't immediately kill me. So maybe that would happen. I don't know. But I guess I would take this. This is a good object, right? Okay, I'll take this. So I end up in Centaurea, in the South Blue, war-torn nation, in the middle of pitched combat with the Revolutionary Army, which the southern branch is headed up by a mink with a jetpack, a steampunk mink with a jetpack. And I have a nail file, and some clothing, and a backpack, and a Kanabo. I still don't think I'm gonna make it out of here, but that's okay. That's okay. It's actually not okay, but in case you end up with a roll like this that's not the best, I did introduce a kind of high-risk, high-reward kind of gambit here. Would you like to see the new reference table? I know you would. All right. The new reference table is this. You roll a d8, and 4 of the results are pretty damn good. 4 of the results are really not that great. 4 of them are actually quite poor. So let's go through these options really quick, a little bit more in depth, because there's not that many of them. So on the good side of things, if you roll a 1, you end up with your own house / business. And I'm assuming, I originally figured this would appear on the island you arrive, but in this situation, that might not be good, because I pictured like a tavern, like a building like this, and you can either live there, or it could be your business if you want. It's like your own property, and nobody will dispute it. No one will question, like, hey, how do you own that house? It's like, you have a deed, it's magic, it's taken care of. The Isekai fairy is like, here you go, here's a deed to your property, you have it, you own this property here, and everything's taken care of. You're good. No one's ever gonna question you. Like, you could live here the rest of your life, no one would ever question it, okay? But living in this war-torn, landing in this war-torn nation, yeah, I was like, yay, I get my own house, and then immediately, boom, it just, yeah, somebody launches a cannonball from a battleship out at bay and just obliterates your home. I don't know if does homeowners insurance exist in the One Piece world? I didn't think of that. Number 2, if you roll a 2, you can bring a family member or a friend, because it's always nice to have someone else to help you out here. And I also wanted to stipulate that if you roll a 2 on this reference table, the person that comes with you also gets to roll on the object table as well. So you might end up with 2 things really useful. You might end up with 2 useless things. Right? It might double your capabilities here. The requirement is it has to be like an immediate family member. So, you know, a brother, a sister, parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, maybe a cousin. Nothing like, you know, like I'm distantly related to this, you know, famous survival expert, or so. I'm distantly related to Eiichiro Oda. So there you go. If it's an immediate family member, like grandparents, parents, sibling, or cousin, fine. You can go with that. or a friend. The catch there is the other person, you both have to acknowledge each other as a good friend. So the other person has to be like, you are my friend. You can't just go up like, hey, you want to be my friend? And be like, what? No. You know what I mean? Like, they have to acknowledge you as a good friend for you in order to take them, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3 is, if you roll that, all physical stats are doubled. So that's pretty cool, right? Yeah, that's pretty neat. So, strength, endurance, speed, all that stuff. Maybe not necessarily superhuman. I mean, I guess it depends. Like, if you're a weightlifter, if you're like a bodybuilder, and you can lift, like, I think I was doing research into this, and I think the most that a human can lift. Well, actually, I saw a lot of different, like, ways you can lift and things like that, but I did see someone, I think the deadlifting record is like 1,000 pounds, or around 1,000 pounds, okay? So, maybe if you're somebody like that, and you can lift hundreds, if not maybe close to 1,000 pounds, that's doubled. So you can lift like a ton, like relatively easy. Like you can do that. For someone like me, I would get stronger, but I would not be like superhuman or anything like that. I wouldn't be like not even close to like Superman or something like that. Not even approaching. Superman can lift he lift like a planet, so that's not even a good example. But you know, your physical stats are doubled. You can run faster, jump higher, all that stuff. That would be good to have. That would be very useful. You can, if you don't have a devil fruit power, so you could swim like twice as far. That might come in handy, especially in the One Piece world. You could hold your breath longer underwater. Like all that stuff is just doubled. So kind of superhuman, but depends on who you are. Number 4 is you start with 100 million berry. That one's pretty self-explanatory. You just start with a lot of money. So you start with enough money to like buy a secondhand ship that's pretty good condition, right? You have enough money to buy some weapons or armor if you really wanted to, or pretty much anything you wanted. That's probably also enough money to buy your own house or tavern if you wanted to, or your own property if you wanted in the One Piece world. But then, on the flip side of that coin, literally, or the flip side of that dice, you also have the bad side. And number 5 is you have 100 million bounty placed on your head. That's not good. That's not good at all. That's Luffy's second bounty. No matter where you end, so you're basically an automatic supernova, but without any of the prestige, really. You have it, and I guess it would be magic to, like, you can't talk your way out of it. You can't say, this is a mistake. It's like, maybe a crime happened somewhere in the world, and it's like, been pinned on you instead. Like, you know, oh, you're the one behind the Rocky Port incident. 100 million berries. Maybe something like that. You can't talk your way out of it. If the Marines see you, they're going to recognize you, and they're going to try to capture you and throw you in Impel Down. And 100 million means you're going to get thrown in level 5 of Impel Down, too. Yeah, and this is the One Piece world, alright? So you might get sent to Enies Lobby for a fair and just trial, but, yeah. If you get caught, you're probably not gonna be able to fight back. So that's a big detriment. You're gonna get captured by the Marines if you do, and you're gonna get thrown in Impel Down level 5. So you're probably not gonna be able to get out of there. Maybe if you can last long enough for Luffy to break in, maybe you could escape that way, but other than that, that's not a good thing to roll, okay? And that basically, like, that guarantees, no matter where you are in the world, even if you end up in the Grand Line, in the Paradise or the New World, where 100 million might, like, right now in the story, 100 million's like, who cares? Because Luffy's bounty is like 1.5 billion. We're getting into, like, the billion levels. But still, if you have 100 million, the Marines see you. They're going to go after you. They're not just going to be like, he has 100 million, who gives a shit? No, they're probably going to go after you, and if you're in one of the 4 blues, like I am, that would be horrible. That would be a horrible thing. But, if the revolutionaries are getting involved, the revolutionaries might not care. Okay, so that might not be too bad where I ended up, but it really depends on a lot of factors. Number 6 is you lose all One Piece knowledge. That's not good. So you end up in the One Piece world thinking you're going to have an edge. Like, I've read all volumes, every chapter of this story. I've seen every episode of the anime. I've seen all the movies. I read the wiki. I'm locked in. I'm good to go. And you roll a 6 and you end up there and you're like, poof. The way I envisioned this is you still know, like, you're still aware of, like, your world. Like, you still came from your world. You still know all about that. And you know that there's a manga series called One Piece and it exists, but every time you try to think about what it's about, or the characters, or the abilities, or the locations, you draw a blank. So you pop into the One Piece world, it's like, yeah, I'm here in the One Piece world. Okay, first thing is, I gotta go to... crap. Well, I have to find, Oh, who did I have to find? Oh, there was somebody. Oh, crap. All right, well, okay. As long as I stay away from... Oh shit! I don't know anything about this place. Like that information is just blocked from from recall. You can't remember it. All you know is there is a manga called One Piece from your world, but it's as if you never read it. It's as you don't know anything about it, what the characters are, or anything. You just know it exists like that. It would be like, I'm trying to think of a series that everybody... It's like, okay, you know what? It's like Among Us for me. I've never played Among Us. Everyone's talking about it. I know there's a video game called Among Us, and it exists. And apparently people are kind of sus, but beyond that, I don't know anything about that game. So that would be kind of like this, right? So yeah, keep in mind for that. That would be a horrible one to roll, honestly, for me. Number 7 is a Yonko wants you dead. Doesn't say which Yonko. A Yonko wants you dead. So you arrive in the One Piece world, and immediately, somewhere, wherever this Yonko is, randomly determined Yonko, maybe you could roll a D4 and determine who the Yonko is that hates your guts. Maybe we'll do that. I didn't include that, but you could do that. They really want you dead. So you pop in, and as soon as you pop in, even if I ended up in the South Blue, Kaido's in Wano, and he's getting drunk, and he's like, look, you know what? I want to kill that random person that just arrived here. That Matt guy, that Tekking, you know? It's like he just immediately knows who I am, what I look like, and he wants me dead. So that's not good. And then number 8 is you start with nothing. So regardless of what the Isekai Fairy gave you, regardless of what you rolled on the D100, regardless of any of that, you end up on the island stark naked with nothing. If you roll an 8. Alright? So that's pretty self-explanatory. You have nothing. No money, no clothing, just nothing. So, are you willing to roll that die? Well, I'll tell you what. If I ended up in the New World, or, no, not even necessarily the New World. If I ended up on any, like, island that was stable and had a town, and I ended up with a decent item on the D100, and I had 1,000,000 berries. I still have 1,000,000 berries, but I don't know how useful that's going to be in this one particular instance. I probably wouldn't have rolled on this D8, but considering where we're at right now, Barry, I think I'm going to take my chances. So here we go. I'm going to roll a D8. Oh, wait, no, that was another that was another D100. Hold on. D8, here we go. Roll a D8. I'm dead. I'm dead. I am so totally dead. Oh my god. Oh god, no. That was the one thing I had. Like, okay, I end up in the middle of a war-torn country in the South Blue. Don't know really anything about it, because there's nothing about it in the One Piece world. And I end up with a nail file. Alright, nail file, great. And then I lose every piece of all my geography. What was geography? What was geography? I'm screwed. Oh, royally, honestly. So I pop in. Hold on a second. Let's do the last reference table before we really get into this. But I don't think this is gonna end good. Alright, so finally we have the last reference table for you guys. By the way, all these reference tables are included in the Google Doc. There was a Google Doc from the previous entry, so you go check that out in the Google Doc. Link to that is also below. So we got the final reference table. This is going to be your way to get back home. If you ever wish to return to our world, you don't have to. You could stay in the One Piece world as long as you like. But in order to get back to our world, you have to complete an objective. And the objective is another D8. And here is the objective table. So the Isekai Fairy sends you into the One Piece world, and before leaving your side, tells you that you have to complete one of these 8 tasks, and some of the tasks are monumentally difficult, as I'm sure you can already see, and others are, you know, kind of hard, and others are pretty easy, comparably to the other ones. I wouldn't say there's anything in here that's outright like a cakewalk, like you could do no problem whatsoever. They're all a little difficult to have some kind of, something for you to do. But some are definitely more difficult than others. And so, unless you complete one of these objectives, there's no way back. No way back whatsoever. This is the only way to return to our plane of existence, okay? And so, I'm just gonna, I think some of these are pretty self-explanatory, like, find the One Piece, that's really hard, you know, Kaisaku Oni, Oro wa Naraka? You know, you're going to be king of the pirates? I don't know. So, that's hard. That would be very, very difficult, if not impossible. But, not impossible. You might need a lot of help, a lot of resources, and a lot of time. Some of these might take you years and years to complete, but I guess it is feasible. And once again, if you join the Straw Hat crew, it doesn't say you have to become king of the pirates. It just says you have to find the One Piece. So you kind of have to read into some of these. Number 2 is walk on a sky island. Comparably to finding the One Piece, that's easy, but it's still very hard because you have to get on a ship to get to a sky island. Apparently, there's other ways to get there other than just the knock-up stream. Apparently, there's like a mountain called High West, and you can apparently just get to the top of High West, and then you can get to a sky island. It doesn't say if you have to do anything once you get there. You just have to physically walk on a sky island, and then you've completed your objective. Roll a 3, and you have to defeat a warlord, an admiral, or a Yonko. Not all 3. You don't have to defeat all 3. You just have to defeat one of them. Defeat a warlord, an admiral, or a Yonko. Now, keep in mind, it just says defeat. It doesn't say kill, and it doesn't even specify really what you have to defeat them in. Okay? So, you might be able to defeat Mihawk not in a sword battle, but in, like, I don't know, chess. You know, or an arm wrestling competition with Shanks, that's a possibility. Or go up against Kizaru in I don't know, you play some PlayStation. I guess they don't have a PlayStation in their world, but you know what I mean, like do something with Kizaru. And if you defeat an admiral, if defeat an admiral, Yonko, or warlord, and they admit their defeat to you in whatever, doesn't matter, you get to go home. So there's that. I mean, the problem there is finding them to begin with. I mean, you know, especially if I ended up in Centaurea, that's going to be hard to find an admiral or a Yonko just lying around, but okay. Number 4 is you have to slay a Sea King by yourself. That's probably next to impossible. It depends on what items you get. Hey, if you captain a ship and maybe I'll like maybe not by yourself, like maybe you can have like a ship and use cannons and stuff, but you have to be the one to deliver the finishing blow here, okay? And number 5 is you have to just survive for 2 years, which, simple, but still, that has the potential to be really easy or really hard, depending on where you end up. If you end up in a very peaceful island, and you end up with your own house, and you just live there for 2 years, just survive and make a farm or start the bakery or whatever, and you're good, and you're 2 years, and like, okay, the Isekai fairy shows up, like, bing, okay, you made it 2 years, good job, you can go home if you want. Or it could be you end up in a war-torn country, or you end up like in somewhere that, like if you ended up in Dressrosa, Doflamingo rules it. And so that might be kind of difficult. You might be turned into a toy. That's not good. That's not good at all. So that depends on where you end up. Number 6 is you have to become friends with a giant. So, first off, you have to find a giant, and, you know, the giant doesn't have to be your friend, right? The giant, like, you know, oh my god, I've been searching for a giant for, like, over a year, I finally found you, and the giant's like, what? He's like, will you be my friend? I'm like, no. I'm like, please, you gotta be my friend, I gotta get out of here. Get away from me, I don't want to be your friend, please. If you piss off the giant enough, the giant's probably just gonna step on you, but if you can play your cards right, roll that charisma score high enough, maybe you could get the giant to be your friend. Number 7 is you have to meet a Straw Hat at some point. And they already have to be a Straw Hat when you meet them, okay? So, that means you can, if you land on an island where the Straw Hats are going to visit, that's an easy one. If you end up in the middle of South Blue, in the middle of freaking nowhere like me, not so easy. But, you know, if you meet a Straw Hat, then you get to go home. And then finally, number 8, you have to either become a Marine captain or a higher rank than captain, okay? Not easy. And also, what if you don't, what if you land in the One Piece world and you want to be a pirate or a revolutionary or just a civilian? But it's like, no, in order to complete this one, in order to get back home, you have to be a Marine. All right, so you have to join the Marines, and you have to achieve the rank of captain, which is very difficult. You might go up against some really strong opponents. You might have to go up against the Straw Hats at some point. So that's not good, that you have to run the risk of that. Or a higher rank as well. But hey, if you want to be a Marine already, that works great for you. I was like, oh, that's what I was going to do already. So that's how it depends. All right, so we're going to roll another D8 here. Oh, I hope it's not 1 or 4. If it's the One Piece or the Sea King. I actually think the One Piece might be more believable. I just have to figure out a way to join up with the Straw Hats at some point. Oh wait, I won't know that because I won't have any damn knowledge! Damn it, I won't know who the Straw Hats are! Damn it! Oh man, I think that is the worst one on that. I think, hold on, go back. I mean, there's a lot of really bad ones on here. Like, having a Yonko wanting you dead is really bad. Starting naked is bad. Having a 100 million berry bounty on your head. I think that number 6 is the worst one, though. Because that just cripples you. You have no idea what to do then. Okay, but here we go. Gotta roll a d8 here. Alright. Son of a bitch! I think these are progressively the worst rolls. This is why you don't use rolladie.net. This is why, alright. I think we're done here. God, I'm gonna move this back over here. Oh man, I am so done. What else am I gonna do? Okay. Isekai Fairy pops into my room. Sexy Nico Robin, you know, with a low cut, like that zipper jacket she wears. That's the nice part. That is the beginning and the end of everything awesome about this for what's going to happen to me. Okay. Hot Robin shows up in my room. Like, I am the Isekai Fairy. You're going into the One Piece world. I don't have a choice. It's gonna happen. I'm like, awesome, Robin! And I'm like, alright, you get to bring your clothes. Alright, so I have the clothes I'm wearing. I'll bring some long sleeves, some jeans and stuff, you know, that kind of crap. I get a backpack, obviously, so I don't have to worry about bringing something like a duffel bag or anything. I have a backpack, I have my clothes. I'll probably take the crappy winter clothing just so I can get, just to maximize. I'm gonna take everything I can get at this point, okay? So, I'll take the crappy winter clothing. I'm not really sure what it would look like for me. I've never been a fan of, like, super bright neon clothing. You know, like, one time it was the winter, and I saw a guy wearing this bright neon green, like, winter jacket. Like, you had to, like, wear sunglasses to look at it. It was so bright. So, it might be something neon like that. Like, I just get a bunch of really bright neon clothing. It has, like, lights attached to it. You know, like, I'm literally a neon sign walking around, which that's probably not good in this stealth organization. Like, I have to be quiet or whatever. But I get that, alright? One object I take. Am I gonna bring the Kanabo? I guess it would be nice to have a weapon. It's either that or a baseball bat. Maybe the baseball bat would be a better choice. You know, because I have swords, I have katanas, but they're not real katanas. They are fake. I have a wooden sword over here. In terms of a weapon, I guess a baseball bat's better than nothing, right? Like, what else? Murakumo Giri, the giant Murakumo Giri, the bush axe thing I have, that's not a very effective weapon. You want to have a practical weapon, I guess. Something that, you know, I could actually use, not something, because even swinging this thing around is kind of unwieldy. So I guess to have some kind of weapon, I guess I'll go with a baseball bat that I own. I'm like, alright, so I end up with a baseball bat, sure. You know, and I have 1 million berries, okay, but war-torn country, probably know where to spend them, okay? Or if I do, like, there's not gonna be, like, just a bread shop down the way. Or some, like, oh, I'm gonna buy some armor or something. Or I'm just gonna buy a boat. Probably not the location I'm ending up, okay? So, you know, Robin's like, okay, that's everything. By the way, in order to come back, you have to slay a Sea King yourself. Like, what? And then rips open the wormhole and then tosses me in, and I plop down in the middle of this, like, battlefield going on. Revolutionaries on one side, Centuria Kingdom on the other side, Lindbergh's flying around, and then I'm like, alright, I'm here! Now, the first thing I need to do is, I don't know, what's going on here? Man, what's happening? Man, this is crazy. What's going on here? You know, man, 1 second I was in my house, and now I'm here. What's going on? What are you guys fighting for? And then I see Lindbergh, and Lindbergh's like, whoa, you better get out of here. And I'm like, oh, man, that's so cool. Are you a cat? That's neat. That's so cool. Well, do all cats have jetpacks, or just some cats have jetpacks? You know what this reminds me of? Remember the, it was one of the Fairly Odd Parents, like, specials, like the movie, where it's the one with the fairyversary. No, was it the remote one, or was it one with the fairyversary month? I don't remember, but it was one of the Fairly Odd Parents movies where there's a moment in the movie where Timmy is trying to get to an age where he doesn't have his fairies anymore. And he gets to a point where he's in college, and the second he does that, he forgets everything about his fairies. But he's in this, like, magical world, like all this crap's going on around him, and he's just completely oblivious. He's like, oh man, this place is crazy. We playing the Cougars again? Like, that would be me. I just, like, plop down with no knowledge. It just gets blocked out of my brain. I'm like, wow, this is a crazy boom, boom! Like, wow, that's dangerous. Whoa, look at that. Are you a freaking mascot for something? You know, flying around. Oh my god. I still have knowledge of other anime, though. That's something I still have. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm in Attack on Titan right now. But no information about One Piece. So I end up there. I still retain what the Isekai fairy told me. Like, in order to return, you must slay a Sea King. So I know what I have to do, but I have no idea what a Sea King even is. So I'm like, okay, the Isekai fairy said I need to defeat a Sea King. So let's assume I don't immediately die. Let's assume the revolutionaries get to me first. Lindbergh spots me and he's like, holy crap, this is not the place for you to be. And Lindbergh, like, rescues me. Like, he grabs me and, gets me away on his magical, steampunk, jetpack. And he drops me down at the revolutionary base. And he's like, who are you? Now, I still know who I am. I don't have amnesia or anything. Like, I know who I am. I know where I came from. Like, hi, my name's Matt. I'm at Tekking101. I ended up here. I don't know. There's this really attractive, like, fairy that sent me over here and told me I had to defeat a Sea King or I can't go back home. This place is really scary, to be honest with you. And they're like, yeah, we're in the middle of a war right now. I'm like, oh, that's not good. I was like, yeah, no, it's not. Meow. By the way, what are you? Like, I said Lindbergh, by the way, what are you? I'm like, oh, I'm a mink. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Anyway, oh man, if I'm just in the middle of the battlefield, I could just die immediately. That's a good shot of happening. Like, I could just die right away. The fact that Lindbergh rescues me or the revolutionaries rescue me, that's probably on the less likely end of this, but maybe, who knows? Take whatever I can get. And at that point, I don't know, would Lindbergh, like, keep me, like, would I stay on the island, or would Lindbergh help me get, I think Lindbergh would help me escape, right? Like, Lindbergh's cool, right? He would probably be like, okay, you obviously don't come from this island, right? I'm like, no, I don't live here. It's like, all right, well, maybe we can send you away. Like, the next time the Revolutionary Army, like, part of them leave to, like, resupply, or maybe they get some, like, provisions, maybe they can send me away. So I'm really stretching this as far as I can here, but I end up on a revolutionary, maybe like transport ship, and they're like, okay, well, we can either drop you off somewhere else in the world, in the south, or you can maybe go, maybe maybe I could join. Maybe they could send me back to Baltigo for training or something. Maybe. Because I would have no idea. I'm like, I have no idea where to go. It's like, don't you know where you came from? Like, I don't think I come from this world, but I have no idea where I am right now. I have no idea what... It's like, do you know any islands? I'm like, no, I don't know anything. I was like, great, okay. So I think in that situation, they would probably... I don't think they would just dump me off in some random location. I mean, I guess they maybe could. They might just dump me off on the nearest island in the south that's peaceful. Or they would take me back to Baltigo. Now, knowing me, which one would I go with there if they gave me the choice? Because I don't think they would force me. I think they would be like... all right, we can either drop you off at a nice, peaceful island, maybe the nearest island from here, and maybe you'll see somebody you recognize. I'm like, I don't feel like I forget anybody. Like, I know all my family and friends still. It's just I don't know anything about this place. It's like, all right, or you could join the revolutionaries. So I would probably get that choice. I don't know. I you know what? If I had no knowledge of this world whatsoever, I would be very interested in learning, but probably wouldn't be interested in joining, like, the Revolutionary Army force, like, right as soon as I drop down, right? It would be a different story if I had my knowledge, but I don't. So in that situation, I'd probably be like, I don't know, I don't think so, random cat, mascot, steampunk person. I might use you in a D&D campaign someday, by the way. It's like, Lindbergh's like, I don't know what D&D is. And we got a war to fight. Where are we taking you? I'm like, okay, just drop me off somewhere that's not this. Drop me off somewhere that's not this. And he's like, okay, I know a peaceful island around here. and they just take me on a ship and they drop me off at a random port. I have money. I was like, I still, it's like, you have money, right? I'm like, yeah, I have a million berries. What are that? It's like, million berries, that should get you, we can drop you off at an island. That should be able to, you should be okay. And you have a change of clothing and everything. You have a nice nail file. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a nice nail file. My nails will be groomed as shit in this universe. You don't have to worry about that. I have great nails in this universe. Okay. So they put me on maybe a revolutionary transport vessel, provided it doesn't get blown up in the harbor by the opposing force. And they take me to just a nice, quiet island in the South Blue. It has just, nothing crazy here. There's no wars going on. They just drop me off at the port and just be like, are you going to be okay? And be like, I don't know, but thank you. At least it's better than the other island. It is like, okay, cool. Maybe I might ask you, like, hey, what if I want to join you guys someday? Maybe they might give me, here's call this number in the Den Den Mushi. Call this number. And I'd be like, what's a Den Den Mushi? And be like, oh my. I mean, I would learn stuff. I can't access my One Piece knowledge, but I could still learn stuff about the world. So while I was en route, while I'm on a ship traveling to another island, the revolutionary, I would have a few questions. I'd be like, okay, so what's the name of this planet? Actually, it doesn't have a name, oddly enough. I'm like, okay, well, what was that island we were on? That's Centuria Island. And they would show me a map. They would have a map. The Revolutionary Army would definitely have a map. They'd be like, here's a map of the known world. And it would have the 4 blues and the red line and the grand line and paradise and all that. It's like, here are the 4 blues. You're right here. You're in the South Blue. I'm like, oh, okay. And they would give me maybe some, like, can I keep this map? I think the revolutionaries would be nice to me. They'd be like, maybe I have to pay for the map, but they'd probably be nice. Like, yeah, we have a shit ton of maps. Here, keep a map. Basic stuff that you need to know how to do. Like, here's a Den Den Mushi. There's snails that talk to you. Holy crap, there's snails that talk to you? I'm like, yeah. Oh, so they're basically cell phones. We don't know what those are. I'm like, right, okay, whatever. But I'd learn how to use a Den Den Mushi. I'd look at the map. Thankfully, the language is the same. It's Japanese, but let's just assume for simplicity's sake, I can read the stuff, right? So I would learn a little bit, and then they would drop me off at a random island, and they'd be like, okay, if you ever want to maybe join the Revolutionary Army someday, here's our number, call this, or, use a news coup or something to transport, here's how you get in touch with us. And I'd be like, okay. And I end up in this place, this random island, just a peaceful island, and I have 1 million berries, and I think on a small island like this, I think 1 million would probably be good enough. I think I'd be okay, provided the island wasn't, this is where we get into ideas that it's like, it could be an island that's like a big town, like a city, or it could be like just a small little community. I would probably request that. I'd probably like, take me somewhere I don't have to worry about like dying, and be like, okay, so it's a nice little farming community. And I like have money, so I'm like, I have food money, and maybe I can buy a house. I could buy my own house, and I have that, and I can live there. Nice little plot of land. Maybe I have a garden, and I would probably spend as long as I can on this island just learning about the world I'm in now. Buying the books, and I would never know as much as I would now because I have like foreign knowledge from all over the place. Stuff like, I know Im-sama is the supreme ruler of this world. There's no books in the One Piece world that would even mention Im, right? So I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't know where Kaido is or anything. There's no books that probably say Kaido is this, So I wouldn't know anything about that. But I would buy books. Or maybe there's like a merchant ship that comes, because One Piece is all on the water. So there's merchant ships everywhere. There's probably food and supply ships going from island to island selling their wares. I could probably buy books and maybe get a job and like, okay. I was like, oh, books about, devil fruits. What the hell are these? The area I live, they might still think like devil fruits are just myth. Like they don't actually exist. So it would be just like, I wonder if they're real or not, But I think maybe with my knowledge of other anime, I could be like, well, I know anime exists, and I'm in this world. Maybe these magical fruits, maybe they do exist. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. But I probably would be stuck there for the rest of my life, because I don't think I'm ever going to get to the point where I could slay a Sea King by myself. I just don't see that going down. Maybe after a few years of learning and training and just maybe getting a little stronger and learning about the world and then maybe learning how corrupted the world government is, although that's going to be kind of difficult considering the oppression of information they have and everything. You know, but I think like, oh, those revolutionaries seem like good people, so maybe I might join the revolutionaries someday and then go to Baltigo. This would be years probably later, if I want to even risk it, you know, if I even want to risk it. Also, all Sea Kings are not like the giant size of like the mountains. Sometimes like the Lord of the Coast, they're much smaller, but still no way a normal human could beat one. Certainly not someone like me with a freaking baseball bat. You know, like I'm gonna baseball bat a Sea King to death. No. But the best chance is maybe study a little bit and then go to the Revolutionary Army, train on Baltigo, and then maybe at that point, maybe I could defeat a Sea King, or I would stay with the rest of the Revolutionary Army. That's the best I got. But man, those were crappy rolls. And I can't complain because I kind of came up with them, you know? So, God, that's it. Barry, I'm not going to roll for you, Barry, because I got to get going. But, man, yeah, One Piece Isekai Part 3! Hope you guys enjoyed. And remember, you don't have to roll on the death one. You don't have to roll on that one if you want to. But if you do roll on it, you have to go with whatever result you get. You can't be like, oh, crap, I lose all my knowledge. I don't want that. It's like, no, if you roll on it, you got to go with it. That's how it goes. So let me know about your One Piece adventures below. I also might, I don't know if I'll make this part 4 or what, but I was thinking about maybe looking at other people's entries and like going through those and talking about, oh, this person did this. Oh, that's cool. This person did this. Maybe do some of that for the next one. Because instead of just adding new reference tables every time, like maybe I'll do something different for the next one. I'll like look through certain entries that I find the best. So that would be cool. But yeah, let me know below on how this time around your One Piece Isekai adventure would be. That's probably better than mine. Probably better than mine. Those were pretty shitty rolls. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Tekking, signing out.